Good morning everybody and welcome back to another video on the channel where today we're doing a video that I've promised for a while. Now while I might be better known for loving the Zelda series and doing a lot of Zelda customs here on YouTube, I also really love the LEGO Mario line and I'm a staunch supporter of exactly what they've done and how we really don't need minifigures. If you want minifigures you can leave now. Well, please don't actually. But today we're going to be ranking all the Mario sets. They're a lot of fun and there's a lot of them I really love. So let's get straight into it with our bottom pick of the day. And that's not a power-up suit, which is surprising, isn't it? It's the Boomerbill Barrage from the Summer 2020 wave, and I think apart from the Shy Guy here, there is not much unique or special about this. The play feature to me is interesting, but not particularly excessive. Or just really accessible. It's a bit of a boring set that was retailed for quite cheap. I do not like how the bonsai bills weigh down the transparent rods, and while they're a cool enough build, I would take the bullet bill every day. The Super Mushroom would be a really nice inclusion if it wasn't in almost every other set, and as I mentioned, the Shy Guy is great, but I think I could just buy a second Fly Guy and take the propeller off. Moving on to 43, here they are. We start with the suits. This is the Tanuki Mario suit and is definitely the weakest of the suits to me. The feature's just not unique enough and the suit is basically just a recolor of the cat suit. I have no nostalgia towards the Mario games as a whole as I've never really played one, so I'm going to be brutally honest and this one really doesn't interest me. Next up at 42 is the Tanuki suit, but it's yellow. It's the cat suit, which has the slightly more interesting power up, allowing you to walk up the air. Considering I can't actually get the Tanuki Leaf one to work, the cat one is definitely slightly better, although I don't think LEGO Mario looks particularly good in a cat suit. Next up at 41 is the Propello Mario pack, which I actually really do like the motion of as fun as a power-up pack, but it's a power-up pack at the end of the day. It's never going to be too interesting and exciting. It's a very bad price per piece, and I don't usually lose price per piece, except for this one's extreme, and it's just not particularly exciting. Definitely not worth £10 for me. At 40 though, we have the Builder Mario power-up pack, which also had a pretty boring power. However, the design here for the Builder Mario overalls looks pretty good. That's about all the credit I can give it. Having grey plates was cool, except for they don't do anything, and once again, a power-up pack ends up at the bottom of the list. For 39, we have the Bee suit, which Mario does once again look absolutely great in. However, the function is once again terrible. Followed up by another retail set. I can slow down again, yay! This is the Piranha Plant Puzzling Challenge, and fun fact, I actually came across this in a store the other day for half price and I still wasn't tempted to pick it up. I think the Spiny is a strange inclusion because the Character Pack 1 was just nicer with a better display stand, and while I don't mind when they repeat characters because it's always great to have more than one, it wasn't really enough to sell me on this set. Maybe if the Piranha Plants had like proper stems instead of like what they are, it would be better. However, at the end of the day, this is a playset. It's a really fun playability, but as someone that's mostly likes the really unique play features and to collect the interesting characters, these Piranha Plants just don't do it for me. I would much rather have the one from the Guarded Fortress, and I'd say that about a couple of times over. I do like a lot of the mechanics here though. This is a great idea with the red coins, but as someone that enjoys the play features and will happily play with them, it just isn't the most interesting to me. At 37 we have Mario and Yoshi's House, and this one's mostly down this low because I'm not a huge Mario supporter. I'm sure if I loved Yoshi as much as every other Mario fan, then this set would be at the top of my list for an ability to get a normal Mario set with a easy to get Yoshi nice and cheap and stuff, but I don't care. The house is boring, the build's really boring, there's no play features for LEGO Mario to really use. The Goomba is the best part of the set really, and Yoshi I guess is a close second, but there's not enough going on here for me, and it doesn't feel like a LEGO Mario set. It feels like an attempt to pander to the fans that wanted minifigures, and it just didn't quite work for me. Either way, moving on, we have 36, which is one of the final power-up suits. This is the Fire Mario, and this is here because Mario actually looks really good in this one, because the design's actually fairly accurate. Not to mention more lava plates is always appreciated, and the power-up is actually one of the better ones in the game, I think. I don't know how he manages to do the weird distance thing, but with the enemies, and that's just so cool. And then finally we have the Frog suit, which is one of my favourites of the power-ups. Still not quite the best, but those lily pad prints are great, getting the suits in pure green, and the suit does look great with that little frog head. This one's one of the more forgotten of the power-up suits, and the power-up itself is okay. They got a bit repetitive by the end, but I think it was a nice inclusion for an iconic suit all the same. Next up, I guess is another power-up suit, is the Egad's Lab, and to be honest, apart from the Poltergust pants, this set's really pretty useless to me. My favourite part by far is the Golden Ghost and Professor Egad, but the rest of the build is somewhat disappointing, and I really don't love Egad's enough to like really want this set. There definitely, if I did get into the Luigi's Mansion stuff and pick up the other things, I'd pick up the pieces I needed on Bricklink. However, not enough to make me want to spend £25 on this set. Following this is the Master Your Adventure set, and I think this set made it so high for a couple of reasons. One was the creation nature. I really love the idea of just having a load of pieces to create your own course. It's exactly what the LEGO Mario system needs. The inclusion of the Bob-omb was sloppy considering it had been in the Guarded Fortress and everything, and while I do say I don't mind how many times they appear in the character pack, I just wish that they would give such prevalence to other enemies. I mean, we've had a lot of Goombas, which is right, but we don't feel like we've necessarily had enough of a lot of the other smaller enemies, like where's my repeat of an Amp and stuff. And I think there's just more choices they could make, particularly if they were going to include this one in the Bowser's Castle, like the Bowser Jr.'s clown car. I think that the Bob-omb is a bit of a strange inclusion. I really love the lava platforms. Those 3 little steps using the 3x3 ram tile is also pretty awesome, and the 30-second pipe makes for an interesting challenge. Overall, this set is still really well done, and the Larry Cooper and Flying Cooper look great. I just think there's a bit of a disconnect here between that and the rest of the awesome play features in the wave. Next up, we have the Power Plant Power Slide, which is often touted as people's least favourite Mario set. I think it's great. It has a really nice function that introduces a level challenge into the Mario system. The Piranha Plant builds are a great first introduction for them, and the Goomba and the Koopa builds are great. While it's not necessarily one that's top of my list, particularly because of its displayability and how, while the play feature is unique, it's not something as cool or as revolutionary to me as some of the others. The roller coaster track is nice, getting a cheap time block is also pretty good, and well, it's a pretty cool set at least. Next up for 31 is the final power-up pack of the wave, and by far my favourite. I think Mario looks absolutely adorable in the penguin suit. It's definitely the best looking of the power-ups, with at least the unique arm pieces, as well as the really unique motion of him sliding. This one really suits the ice spikes and stuff, so as we start to get more icy sets, I think this power-up pack is definitely one of the best. I'm really glad that I have this one in my collection. At 30 though, we have the Super Mushroom Polybag, and this is what I mean when I say that the Boomerang Barrage lost out because the Super Mushroom was available literally everywhere. Almost anyone that bought the starter course ended up with the Super Mushroom Polybag surprise thing, and not only does it come with a question block, but also a really nice piece of terrain. It's a small set, so it really couldn't compete with some of the bigger items on this list. However, I don't know, this is definitely the way to get the Super Mushroom if you ask me. Next up though, we have the other Polybag, which I think is just a little bit more diverse and doesn't suffer as much from having the question block on the mushroom. We've got a really nice unique piece of coral, a great mushroom build for that biome, a fuzzy inclusion, which honestly I don't mind even though it's in the character packs, and then the inclusion of a star block, which is really useful, especially with the new prevalence of Ghost in the Luigi's Mansion sets. So if you're like me and don't want to buy EGAD's Lab, then you don't need to, because you can just kill Ghost with star power. For number 28, we have Whomp's Lava Trouble, and this one has survived this long for 3 reasons. That is the Whomp, the Fire Bubble, the P-Switch, and I guess that weird little feature. However, the build itself is pretty subpar and doesn't really add anything to my layout. If I wanted a lava set, I think I'd prefer more lava plates rather than a lava tightrope bridge. However, Thwomp translated absolutely perfectly, and the inclusion of a Lava Bubble, which is a very reputable enemy, is really nice to see. At 27, we have King Boo's Haunted Yard, one of the most divisive sets in my opinion. I've gone backwards and forwards and backwards on this. So originally it was one of my least favourites, then I started to like it a bit more, but the inclusion of the swoop in Character Pack Series 3 gave me less of an excuse to like it, and the 2 Goombas appear in enough other sets. Not to mention I do love the Luigi's Mansion version of King Boo a lot more, and I think that the build could have done with maybe one more play feature for LEGO Mario, and it just feels a bit decorative and just a bit sparse. I love the gate, and the spiderweb tripping feature is pure genius. The coins number tree is nice, and I love the fact that there are 2 difficulties for King Boo. That whole feature is absolutely incredible, but there just feels something missing, and I don't know if it can justify its price tag. Moving on to 26, we're keeping with the spooky theme. We have the Luigi's Mansion entryway, which I've already said I do love the name for, and I absolutely love the door entering play feature. It's that sort of complicated play feature that we don't get to see too often in LEGO sets because it's a bit too much for kids to wrap their head around. But the idea of pushing Luigi through from the doors from the inside, but that covers the bone, so you've got to turn him on the cog to close the door, grab the bone, open the door with the cog, go through the doors, close the door, open the well, go to the Polterpup. Brilliant, love it. The Bogmar feature works also spectacularly, and he looks great as always. I really do love the interpretation of the Luigi's Mansion ghosts. The gates around the front are a pretty impressive LEGO set of gates, and I can't wait to see what people will do with expanding the entryway in order to make a full Luigi's Mansion facade. This was a really great set. Number 25, just beating it out, we have the Toad's Treasure Hunt, and once again this set would have been a lot higher before certain elements reappeared, such as the treasure blocks. I really love the idea of going on a treasure hunt, and they were absolutely great, but however I do believe that the treasure blocks have been done better in the Beach Wave, because they're in a smaller set, and also the inclusion of the Cheep Cheeps in the Big Urchin Beach Ride, which is a set I absolutely love, also sort of weakens this one for me. The mushroom houses are just a bit on the flat side. While they do work for scenery for Mario, I just find myself wishing there was just a tad more to this one. And while the Toad and the Toadette were good, I think I do like the Blue Toad, and obviously Red Toad has now appeared in the Luigi's Haunt and Seek one. So over time this set has just become less special to me. Moving on to set number 24, we have the Adventures with Luigi Starter Course, and I just have no love for Luigi. I'm sorry. I just don't care about like him as a person. The two-player functionality though with the Lego Mario system is pretty good, if I'm going to be honest. I think it works really well and it's a really nice inclusion. It was the next logical step, despite how much I disagreed. And I do love the Goomba walking footstep piece. The pink Yoshi and Boom Boom are alright, probably the highlights of the set to get more unique characters. The build does feel a bit messy, but when compared with stuff like the Boss Sumo Bro Tower topple and stuff, the weird like clunky tower stuff does sort of work quite well. I think the inclusion of Desert Poison and Airship is one colour too much, but apart from the fact that I don't care about Luigi, this was a great starter course and so good for all the people that do love the weird green man. And moving on to 23, we have the Boss Sumo Bro Tower Topple, and I've talked about this one before and how that I really love the fact that it's in a vertical box. The inclusion of Crowbar in the same wave is probably one of the more egregious of the character pack mishaps. I do not mind, I repeat, I do not mind when they reuse character pack characters, just they shouldn't do it in the same wave. So the Spiny and the Piranha Plant line was a good one. There's just not much to entice me about this set. However, this one in difference, I really do love the feature. The bouncing is absolutely great. It's a shame that it doesn't work quite as well for single player, because that would have been nice to see. The Boss Sumo Bro does look absolutely amazing and his tower is pretty cool. However, it's just not comparable to the rest of the sets. Such as Lakitu Skyworld, which was also a pretty awesome set. The return of the Bullet Bill was absolutely amazing, considering Character Pack Series 1 was incredibly hard to find and the Bullet Bill went up to a ridiculous price of £30 in this country. Having him here was a great re-inclusion that made it much more appeasable to actually get your hands on a Bullet Bill after that original series retired. Lakitu also looks great despite some popular complaints, and the mushroom buying and that light azure colour work so well. The lime green also looks great, and the play feature here is also amazing, working well for both single or two-player play. The fuzzies inclusion is also perfectly fine. We'll always need more fuzzies to make those weird chain things, and I really do like the light grey with the green. I'm going to say this again, the light grey and green just work so well. It's crazy. Not sure how I feel about the time block, but overall a fantastic set. Moving on though to 21, we have Dory's Beachfront expansion set, which was the question blocks, or should I say the treasure hunt blocks done right. I really love the idea of one being on the palm tree, the water spout and the sandcastle are such a good idea. Really good play features to find them on a much smaller scale and much more affordable. I really love the water jets, they remind me so much of the games. Dory looks great as well, and that Hucket Crab feature, no one is talking about that feature. It's fantastic. Like seriously, fantastic. And once again, we've got some more of those nice colours, and it's a really great small set. Moving on, making the top 20 is the Wiggler Poison Swamp expansion, mostly here for the figure selection. Wiggler looks great, another Goomba's always wanted, and the Koopa Paratrooper looks awesome as well. The Wiggler feature is one of those standout Mario ones which we just never get to see otherwise. I just wish there was a little bit more to this one, it just feels a bit empty. The bridge unfolding feature is really nice, and so is the Wiggler, but I just wish the Wiggler has an action tile to defeat him, even if he's not defeatable in game. I just really want to stomp on the Wiggler, but I can't. Overall, there's a lot here. I just think it's missing one more Mario interactivity, and to me that is just clearly the Wiggler. Moving on to 19, we have Bowser's Airship, a ship that was very popular with a lot of people that hated the Mario line because it didn't look as much like a Mario set. To me, my favourite part of this set has got to be the Pirate Goomba. I do love the way the ship looks and how it unfolds. I think that as a challenge it works quite well and it's nice and complex like I like, but to me the best Mario synergy to ever come out of the Mario line is the Pirate Goomba, because you can knock the hat off just like you would. It's a double stomp, it's perfect. The Bowser Claw is a bit of a weird inclusion, and I do like the ship on the front of the face, but it just doesn't compare for me. Maybe it's my style of Mario set, it just doesn't quite line up with this one. Number 18 is the question mark block from 64. If I was a Mario 64 player, or I loved the game, or it was part of my nostalgic childhood, then I'm sure I'd already own this set already. But I'm only able to judge this set by a technical standpoint, and from that it is very impressive. I absolutely love the way it unfolds, and I've always wanted a sort of Lego puzzle box where the Bowser thing is like the secret in the front. So cool. I love the way it looks being a question block, and I kind of want to see more in this style. If this is the love they're putting into their Nintendo partnership, and I cannot wait for more. This is an incredible set, I just wish I had more of an attachment to it. Number 17 is the first character pack of our list here today. They've all ranked pretty highly, and I think that this really shows by the fact that Character Pack Series 2 is my least favourite. I mean, when I look at this, not only do I own the least amount from this series, but there's the least amount that I really want to own. Yes, I have the Bone Goomba, Thwimp, Poison Mushroom, and Hucket Crab. I do kind of want the Fly Guy and the Paragoomba for just completion's sake, and the Ninja is sort of cool, but I really don't care for the Spiny Eepcheep, the Foo, or the Parabeetle, I think he's called. However, I'm at the point where I have over half the Mario characters, so I feel like eventually one day I'll buy them. However, out of actual ones that I actually want, there's just not as many in this series. It was just a bit on the slower side. Next up, we actually have the Adventures of Mario Starter Course, which surprisingly, for a set that's integral, isn't the most interesting. The character selection is perfect, and as a starter course it works really well. There's a lot of really interesting interactivity and features, and not to mention you get Mario, the most iconic video game character of all time. There's a lot to love about this set, however it lacks any of the really creative features that are in the expansion sets, and that's not really to its own detriment. It's a starter course, it's not supposed to be the most technically complex, but in that regard it just can't compete with something like Bowser's Castle, and well, that's just how it goes. Number 15, though, we have the Bowser Jr.'s Clown Car, which I guess is the perfect expansion to your starter course. Not only does it provide some nice music and abilities for Mario, but it looks great with Bowser Jr. for those that you want it on display. It's the perfect transformation into the square Lego format, and the Bob-omb here is a much better inclusion in my opinion. As much as I think I would have preferred a Goomba, I suppose the Bob-omb adds that extra layer of playability with the tap it multiple times for lots of coins thing. Overall, Clown Car looks great, and I think if you're going to buy any other Mario set apart from the starter course, it's probably this one. Next up, we have the SDCC exclusive Toad's Hut. Now, this is my kind of Toad set. Not only do we get the Toad minifigure, which at this point was fairly hard to achieve, and I think this Toad Hut looks a lot better. It's really leaning into the facade element, with including that fence on the side as well as the question mark block. It's still got enough Mario interactivity, but the chimney out the top just adds something. Something about this set, and maybe the fact that it's at a smaller scale, really makes this one more appealing to me. It just feels a lot more rounded and justifies that like flat part behind it. Overall, I think this is the Toad set done right. Number 13 brings us our second Character Pack series, and some of you may be shocked to see this one ranking so lowly, but this is Character Pack Series 4. Once again, it just comes down to the point that while I absolutely love this series, and I'm planning on getting 7 out of the 10 as soon as I can find them, it just doesn't compare to the next couple of sets. They're just so creative above this point, which is a shame because this is a great series. Characters such as Tuxie the Penguin, the Parabiddy Bud, the Stingbee, the Freezy, the Bully, the Mecha Koopa, and even stuff like the Ant Trooper, Coin Coffer, and Goombrat are all absolutely great. The only weak one to here, to me at least, is the Scaredy Rat, which is just not something I particularly have an interest in. So overall, I think I'll be getting 7 out of the 10, and this is a really, really solid series. It just doesn't hold a candle to the nostalgia and the amazingness of the rest. Next in at number 12 is a technically impressive set. This is the Reznor Lockdown. It's just so wacky, I can't help but love it. There's a lot to love about this one. It's just all over the place. The inclusion of Blue Toad was great. The Reznors are sort of obscure, I guess. They work really well. That smashing log and the idea of rotating the windmill is perfect for a Mario set. It just looks so right on the box. I can't help but really love the features here. It works well for single player or 2 player. The inclusion of the grower was great, and the speedrun pipe is also pretty nice if I do say so myself. There's a lot to like about this one. It's just wacky and lovely. Next up though, we have number 11, which is the Thwomp Drop, a set that I regret not picking up when LEGO Mario first launched. This is a really, really cool set, with our only appearance of Thwomp so far, 2 lava bubbles, which as I mentioned, always good to have in numbers. There's one of those I don't mind amassing a lot of, the Skull Train, and a really technically impressive feature that I'm still impressed by to this day. It works incredibly well, and the ability to actually drop a Thwomp from any decent height on Mario is something so unique to the Mario line, and not something that we've really seen anywhere else. This is where Mario excels best, when it's doing completely different things for wacky play features, and it is amazing. Next up though, we have number 10, another set has done incredibly well with its play features, and that is the Haunt and Seek. Well, I wish that the gems had a bit of a bigger purpose in the Luigi's Mansion like thing. I absolutely love the two ghosts that we get, with the garbage can ghost and the red ghost. I love the idea of the gems being hidden in what seems like simple mansion things. Into the bed where you get to bounce on it and it springs up, genius. The toilet which you flush, genius. The little rat in the back is just so cute, and the turning feature in the door is surprisingly perfect. The inclusion of a portrait is also spectacular, and I love the gem that's behind the dinner plate. The snooker table room, wow, such a clean, smart and compact puzzle. The idea that you have to flip it to all three sides is just what I live for with this Mario line. This is perfect, and not enough people are talking about it, and this set really excels in that regard. The King Boo is also a much better variant, and I'd much happily more pick this setup than the other King Boo set. I really like the design on his face and all the play features much better than the Haunted Yard, especially now that the swoops are no longer exclusive as well. Overall, great set, really, really good. But moving into number 9, eking it out ever so slightly, the better these sets good, the less gap that there differentiates between them. So number 9 here is Character Pack Series 3, which was almost my favourite series of all time. The character variation is great, and they're all so colourful. The only letdown is really the Crowbar. It's just the only one that's subpar to me, and I don't know why. It's just... I just don't like it as much. I think it's its design, but it's still a great figure and a great one to include on that medium Azure plate. The Amp, Scuttlebug, Tribones, Galumba, Torpedo Ted, Saibu, 1-Up, Parabomb and Swoop, just great characters. Really great selection, really great mix, and they're just perfect. I just love the character packs so much. But just beating that out again is one of the best chain reaction playsets we've had in a long time, including the Super Mushroom once again, further devaluing Boomerbill Barrage, and the Monty Mole in another set. This set is perfect. I love the inclusion of the Stone Eye, such a weird piece of Mario lore that's been included here and looks great. The Pow Block, which knocks it over, which you then stomp on to fling the Monty Mole out, which you then go on. Perfect Mario play feature. I love the chain reaction of it. It's so perfect. I really, really like this one. But number 7 is a new set to the list, which I adore, which is the Big Urchin Beach Ride. I've talked about this one before, so I'm going to keep this one fairly brief, but since the beginning of LEGO Mario, I've always wanted a Big Urchin. He looks incredible at this puffed up scale, so good. The play feature to knock him over with the roller coaster is both difficult and interesting. Really good shout, and the fact that the water jets go up when you turn around as well is awesome. The yellow Yoshi is a great inclusion. Wish it was a different colour so he didn't blend in with the sand, but that's besides the point. The star block on the tree is also good, and I love how it dances. It seems so Mario/Epic Mickey to me. Diving board is a really cute additional feature, and this Cheep Cheep bridge is so much better than the one in Toad's Treasure Hunt. I can't help but love it. Not to mention, this set does something that not many sets do, and includes the green and grey combo. It just looks so good. And then on to number 6, we're on to the smaller sets now. I've often had an affinity with these £20 Mario playsets, and the Desert Pokey is an excellent example of such. The idea of knocking him out segment by segment is just so perfect. Like, whoever designed that as a concept, so good. It's just amazing. Really love that, and the inclusion of the Monty Mole is also great. Small cactus build and some desert expansions are also great, but it's just mostly that Pokey feature. Absolutely incredible. But slightly better still is 3 of those features in one. We have the Guarded Fortress up next, which has a lot to love. The inclusion of the original bomb outside of the character packs here was still worthy and I think worked quite well. We've got the Guarded Fortress, which is also so iconic to Mario and would make a great display piece. Opening it with the Power Block is a lot of fun to get more coins. We've got the Koopa Trooper, which is another great piece, along with such things like the Mario sign and like the Mario flagpole, which you can raise up. Raising the flagpole, super iconic. And the idea of knocking the Koopa Trooper off the 3-step thing, also pretty cool. However, the highlight of this set has got to be the Piranha Plant feature. It's one of the most creative of the LEGO Mario play features, and I absolutely love it to death. The idea that you send him back into his pot is just, such good design. Cannot help but love it. Really, really think this is one of the better of the LEGO Mario sets. I just cannot get over the play features in this wave. And that brings me to another excellent play feature, the Chain Chomp Dungle Encounter, which also came with a Bramble, which is a really great figure, and it was nice and bouncy, which is really great when you're interacting with like the Digi Lego Mario. The idea of sending the Chain Chomp launching and he goes over the tree is such a satisfying feature. I love that one so much. The inclusion of the coin block is great, and it's the perfect part to a dungeon expansion. Not to mention, from a Zelda perspective, Chain Chomps are one of the more iconic of the Mario enemies that crossed over into the Zelda franchise, so getting one here is also awesome from that perspective. But that feature, just so satisfying. And number 3 brings us to the NES, which is one of the best LEGO building experiences I've ever had. I absolutely love building this set despite not having a massive connection to Mario. The NES is just an incredible build with all of that functionality, and the insertion of the disc is just impeccable. The controller looks amazing, is definitely my favourite part of the set. However, the scrolling TV makes for a close second with all those dials, and the authentic clicking sound is great. The small inclusion with the LEGO Mario to play the sounds is also particularly interesting, and I've just never had a building experience like it. Really, really incredible. Number 2, though, is non-surprisingly the first wave of character packs, the wave that started it all. Once again, just like Character Pack Series 3, these guys have a great mix of characters, and it's a shame that only, 6 of them are still exclusive. However, that's not really a problem because we had a great mix here for Mario fans and non-Mario fans. Once again, I will always praise stuff like the Fuzzy, which actually allows you to fold it over using the hinge. The Bob-omb had a really interesting play feature. The Spiny and Buzzy Beetle look great along with Peeper. Urchin, again, standout figure along with the Blooper and the Eep Cheep. All great characters, such good variety, the perfect way to start the Mario character packs. And honestly, this is one of the few modern sets which is already nostalgic to me. I don't know how, but I have so much nostalgia to seeing these released in 2020. I don't understand it. But that's the only reason they beat out Wave 3 for me, is they're just so nostalgic. And I guess the best Mario set ever has got to be Bowser's Castle. It's a set I own, which I guess helps with the bias somewhat, but I have never experienced a better LEGO play feature in all of my long years. The Boo feature is also great, and the inclusion of Bowser is obviously a standout feature. Dry Bones makes for a great addition, and another lava bubble is always welcome, but really what I'm here to talk about is that feature. The idea of knocking Bowser's arms up and then wiggling him down is just such a boss battle mechanic that they captured perfectly. The two-phase nature of it and the wiggling make it feel so much like a game boss is incredible. If they did anything like this for any other game, I would just love it to death. It's the best feature they've ever put in a LEGO set. The set also looks great, great prices, great figures. Absolutely perfect. If you have a chance to get this set, do it. You don't need LEGO Mario, it's just a lot of fun. And it's a really great set. And that's actually going to do it for today. Oh, my voice is a bit tired now. We've just ranked almost 50 Mario sets. There are a lot to love here. I think if I had to do it overall, Wave 1 is still my favourite. I just have that little bit of nostalgia for it, and there are some amazing play features, which some of them they haven't still topped. I think for me, the new wave, the January 2022 wave, is a close second overall. However, Character Pack Series 3 definitely elevates the summer wave from last year. I think after that, it's probably the Soda Jungle wave. I do quite like that one. And then the weakest is probably Last Summer's with the resin stuff. However, they're all great. The play features make them so unique, but you just can't get better than that original wave. Overall, a lot of nostalgia. Let me know your favourite of the LEGO Mario sets down below, and I hope someone watched the end. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.